ought to make you comfortable.
Holiday Inn is #1 in people pleasing.
Some new faces now for the Atlanta Flames, Harmon.
True, 3 new players, 5 Flames go up to Chicago. Town's still talking about today's Flames trade. 5 Flames to Chicago for 3 Blackhawks. From the Flames, it goes like this. Captain Tom Lysiak, the all-time leading scorer with 155 goals. Harold Filipoff, a left wing, 10th round pick in '76, known for his aggressiveness on the left there. Pat Ribble, bottom left, a defenseman, one of 3 defensemen going up there. Along with him will be Greg Fox and Miles Zaharko, you see there in the middle, who's been with the farm club in Tulsa, the Tulsa Oilers. Now today I talked with the man who traded these 5 players, General Manager Cliff Fletcher, who tells me why and for whom.
Well, the biggest reason for us making the trade, Harmon, was the fact that we felt that the opportunity of acquiring a defenseman the caliber of Phil Russell. He was originally a first-round draft choice of the Blackhawks back in 1972. He's been one of the better defensemen in the National Hockey League over the past 6 years. He's not playing as well this year as he has in the past, but we feel very strongly that when you start adding up the top 9 or 10 defensemen in the league, that he fits right in that category. So our playoff record in the past has been terrible. We've only won 1 playoff game in 11 attempts so far, and throughout this season we've been having a lot of trouble with our goals against. We're giving up far too many goals against for our position in the standing. So we feel in getting Phil Russell, we're getting a real fine quality defenseman. Along with Ivan Boldarev, who scored 35 goals last year. He already has 29 goals this year. We feel he can step in and replace Tom Lysiak and do a terrific job for us.
Why does Chicago feel they made the trade? What was in it for Chicago? What did they need that they got?
Well, obviously, Lysiak is the key to the trade as far as they're concerned. They're looking for someone to help, someone with a name, someone who's a colorful player, someone who will help bring people into their building. They're in the Smythe division. It's not very competitive. The crowds are down, and they feel that as exciting a hockey player as Tommy Lysiak is, that he'll more than help rejuvenate hockey interest in Chicago. Yep.
And in my opinion, after talking with Flames players today before they left for the New York Rangers game tomorrow night, and with Flames management most of the afternoon, it was indeed a good trade for the Flames. Remember, at this point in time, the Flames' top line of Vail, Chouinard, and McMillan are second in the entire National Hockey League in scoring. In other words, Tom Lysiak became expendable in sports on a pro level. Really is hardcore business. Scores tonight, the Islanders beat Boston 7-2. Bossy a hat-trick, 1-1 Colorado in the second. Atlanta at New York tomorrow night. Philadelphia in Chicago tomorrow night. The Hawks are in Portland tonight. That game just now beginning. If they win it, it makes 10 straight. The record for the Hawks is 12 straight back in 1968 and 69. Tonight in the NBA, Chicago beat the Nets 105-102. Philadelphia beat Cleveland 124-120. The Knicks over the Jazz. Indiana beat Detroit in overtime, and Washington beat L.A. 120-111. Now tonight at the Omni, gymnastics at its best. 16 countries represented in mixed pair competition. There was a good crowd on hand tonight at the Omni, as you can see. About 4,000 or 5,000, as I understand, for the American Cup Tour gymnastics events. Here you see the man on the rings. I thought we'd show you some of the different routines down at the Omni tonight. Now watch this man on the horse. He does it. That went on most of the night. It was very interesting. A lot of talented athletes down there. 16 countries represented.
It's always fun to watch something.
It really is, really is.
Thank you, Herman. Time now for the editorial. Here's TV5's Public Affairs Director, Dale Clark.
The governor and legislators are wrestling right now with the problem of a teacher's pay raise and the federal guideline limit of 7%. At the 78th session, they adopted a $2.4 billion budget for fiscal year 79 to run the state until July 1st of this year. But when they assembled this January, there was a huge surplus on hand, and they've authorized spending $300 million more. Those millions must be spent before July 1st of this year. That's a whopping 12.5% budget increase packed into a 4-month spending pattern. What are the federal guidelines? Why no concern then about the impact on inflation? We know nobody is pushing spending guidelines on anything other than salaries. But the war against inflation cannot be fought and won this way. The governor and legislators may wrap themselves in the federal anti-inflation flag if they like, but in our opinion, they picked up the flag too late, and they're not fooling the people. The TV5 editorial on March 6 had this statement: because of their past lean years, the proposed 7% raise for teachers, in our judgment, is not sufficient. We submit that's the judgment of many Georgia parents. The governor and legislators need to wrestle with reality, not guidelines to be invoked when wanted.
Agree or disagree? We invite your opinion. Post Office Box 4207, Atlanta 30302.
Flood victims in 3 Georgia counties will get some help from Uncle Sam.
And the special unit has part 3 of its series on income tax preparation. Jim Axel is next after News Scene takes a break.
Gorton's announces the end of the quiet fish stick. Introducing Gorton's new crunchy fish sticks and portions with more crunch than any other leading breaded fish stick. They're covered with a delicious new kind of toasted breadcrumbs, and inside is mild-tasting, flaky white fish. Gorton's crunchy fish sticks and portions. The result speaks for itself.
Trust the Gorton's fishermen from Gorton's of Gloucester.
There is now a Mercedes-Benz station wagon, as different from other wagons as Mercedes-Benz cars are different from other cars. You see, Mercedes believes that a Mercedes-Benz station wagon should behave like a Mercedes-Benz car. The 300 TD diesel station wagon, Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
Ready for a big switch? These are the biggest hair colors in the country. This is the newest from Revlon, ammonia-free color silk. It doesn't rough up your hair, so Revlon can promise you color that's rich, true, and lasting, and hair that feels silkier and looks healthier. It's even been salon tested for you. Great color and great hair, too. So why let ammonia hair color near your hair? Why don't you switch to Revlon's new ammonia-free color silk? Makes sense, right?
PM Magazine, a lighthearted look at people, places, and things. On Wednesday's edition, John Patrick finds out that if a person can scramble an egg, find a light switch in the dark, and reverse a Volkswagen, he can learn to juggle. John did from author John Cassidy. Then we meet a musician with platinum albums, acting successes, and super concert dates after a career that started very slowly. None other than Texan Willie Nelson. All that and more on the next edition of PM, Wednesday at 7:30.
About 40 million Americans will ask the Internal Revenue Service for help or advice before they file their federal income tax returns this year. Jim Axel of TV5 Special Unit wanted to find out what kind of advice those taxpayers will get.
A member of our special unit, posing as a member of an average family, went to 3 IRS tax assistance centers. We went prepared with the same information we used in checking out commercial tax preparation firms. The 3 centers were located in East Point, Marietta, and in downtown Atlanta. We found out quickly that the IRS does not prepare your return. They only offer advice. They'll answer specific questions and tell you where to put what on your return, but they don't help you dig for deductions. And if you supply deductions that aren't legal, well, they may end up on your return unless you ask specific questions about them. Faced with that situation, we found it all but impossible to complete our tax return.
What do these returns tell us?
Well, in my opinion, they tell us that enough advisory attention was not paid to the party who was seeking help from the Internal Revenue Service preparers.
If you bring a listing of your deductions to us, we presume that those deductions are correct and ask you to put them on the return on the lines that are designated on the return. Now then, they're built into that as a presumption also that if you ask us specifically a question about the deductibility of a particular item or the correctness in handling a particular item, our people should be trained and under an obligation to tell you if that specific item is a deductible item and how it is to be handled on the return.
But on an information sheet such as this, if something is not on here, even though it may appear obvious, they're not going to ask for it, are they?
No, we do not do an in-depth or probing interview. We take the items that you have listed on your list of deductions and ask that you place them on the return.
IRS officials say 85% of those asking for help file the short form. And if more Americans with more complicated returns ask for help, they might have to beef up their assistant program. But that would cost taxpayers more money, money the IRS says it doesn't have now. In our next report, we'll look at specific items on our tax return where commercial preparers made mistakes and what items gave them trouble. For TV5 Special Unit, I'm Jim Axel.
Residents of 3 North Georgia counties hit by severe flooding last week will be eligible for some federal assistance. The government will provide up to 80 mobile homes for families in Polk, Gilmer, and Floyd counties who were made homeless by the flood. Governor Busby says he will write to the Small Business Administration and the Farmers Home Administration, trying to get low-interest loans for those folks, too. Guy Sharp is standing by to tell us how long this nice weather is going to last. He's next as News Scene continues.
On. Yes.
At Neil Pope Ford, we're proud to offer our used car customers a wide and varied selection. Over 200 cars, trucks, and vans at Buford Highway and our newest facility on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. It doesn't matter what you're looking for, because if we don't have it, we'll find it for you. Call us at 455-7673. If you're out of town, just call Collect. Let us show you what so many of our customers talk about.
There is something brewing, and it's headed your way. Crisp, cold, refreshing. A bold new look and a bright new taste. Busch. So don't just reach for a beer. Head for the mountains. New Busch.
Gee, officer, what did I do wrong?
Not a thing. In fact, you did everything exactly right. Didn't tailgate, you signaled before you switched lanes, you stopped at the stop sign. Look, I've seen plenty of accidents caused by bad drivers. I bet you never caused an accident. Someone ought to say, thank you, mister, for all the good things you've done.
And that someone is Geico, the good driver company. If you're a good driver, Geico believes you should pay less for auto insurance than bad drivers. Insuring with Geico is like joining a club with special privileges for good drivers.
To join, call Geico at 523-1025. That's 523-1025 for all the good things you've done. Outside the Atlanta area, call Geico Collect at 404-523-1025.
Guy has promised the rain will go away
About midday tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get, we've had some
good.
light showers most of the evening, scattered all around the North Georgia area. And they will continue probably, well, it could last until noontime. More than likely by mid-morning they'll start clearing out. And then we go to slightly cooler or almost cold temperatures for a day or two. But nothing drastic, except for possibly in the extreme North Georgia area where it may get down to the freezing or 30-degree mark along in there. Let's take a look at our color radar. A few light showers showing up over Atlanta and parts of the North Georgia area. They'll intensify, disappear, and re-intensify during the course of the night. Parts of central and south Georgia, and maybe even in parts of North Georgia, might even get a thunder shower or two, but it won't be very long-lasting, and by midday tomorrow, we'll see the sun come breaking forth again and cooler temperatures. Presently at 61 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius, after a high today of 72 and a morning low of 42. The sky is rainy right now, the humidity 56%. The barometric pressure continues to fall, 30.11 inches, with a southerly wind at 8. And out at the airport, they've had a trace of rain, but we're still ahead for the year, a little less than 1 3/4 of an inch. No available pollution report to give you today, but we do have a satellite picture that shows the gathering clouds over the east and the southeast and along the Gulf. They've had rather heavy thunderstorms in parts of Louisiana and Arkansas and southwestern Alabama. What we're going to have tomorrow basically is this. A new storm system, not very major, but enough to cause quite heavy rain from northern California up into Washington and Oregon, moving inland with generally fair to partly cloudy skies.